When I was diagnosed with alpha-gal syndrome in 2022, I remember thinking, my life is completely over. No more steak, no more cheesecake, kill me now. And honestly, I didn't know what was worse, the food restrictions or the fear. If you felt that way, my friend, this podcast is for you.
So what do you do when you get the blues?
Hey friend, welcome to the Alpha-Gal Talk podcast, where we're figuring out life together while battling alpha-gal one step at a time. This is a podcast created for people battling alpha-gal syndrome who want practical guidance, honest conversations, and encouragement along the way. So if you've been diagnosed, if you're still trying to figure out what's going on, if you're a spouse, you're a parent, you're a friend, or maybe you're even a doctor trying to understand this better, because we're all trying to understand it better, you are in the right place. When I was diagnosed with alpha-gal syndrome in 2022, I remember seriously thinking my life was over. No more steak, no more cheesecake, and those were two of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And honestly, I didn't know what was worse, like the food restrictions or the fear of what is going to happen if I eat this. So if you have felt that way, my friend, you are not alone. This podcast is for you. And if we haven't met yet, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am as we dive into this episode. I'm Sunday Joe. I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter based in Branson, Missouri. And I am the founder of alphagaldiet.net. And I have spent the last few years learning how to navigate this condition in real life. Grocery stores, restaurants, girls' trips, everyday routines, you name it. Now, here's who I'm not. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to replace medical advice. I'm just someone walking through this, living through this, figuring it out step by step, and sharing what I learn with you along the way. And somewhere in the middle of my own frustration and all of my own label reading spirals, this community, this alpha-gal community, started to grow. And that's actually how we ended up here. And so before we dive into today's episode, make sure you go and like the podcast wherever you listen. Like it, share it, save it, all the things. What that does is helps us stay visible. And our goal, obviously, is to make sure that if you are battling alpha-gal, you're not doing it alone. And so we can't spread the word without you, my friend. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode of the Alpha-Gal Talk podcast. You're not alone. Why Alpha-Gal Talk exists. All right, so why in the world are we doing this podcast? So as I said a little bit earlier, I was diagnosed in 2022. And man, it was crazy. I'm not 100% sure like where the tick bite came from, but I'm pretty sure I kind of have an idea. So my family has a background in meat processing, deer processing, things like that. I grew up in the country, in rural America. Welcome to Belmo. Shout out to Belmo, even though I don't live there anymore. But I was helping my cousin out. I took like a week off work to help him out during deer season. We were skinning these deer, processing these deer, all the things. And it was a weird, crazy season. Anyway, I ended up pulling I think it was something like 36 ticks off of me in one day. It was crazy. And so I don't know if that's what I can trace it back to, but I have a feeling that that's kind of where I can trace it back to. But again, I don't know for sure. But I had years of inflammation. Some of my symptoms were more inflammation, horrible GI issues. My gosh, gas that could kill a rhinoceros, bloating, swelling, inflamed joints. That it was more on the inside than it was visibly noticeable on the outside. And I felt like something was wrong with me for a long time, but I couldn't necessarily pinpoint what was going on. And so finally started getting some answers from, I had never even heard of alpha-gal before, didn't even know it existed. And I went to this doctor and she brought it up and she was like, have you ever heard of alpha-gal? No, I don't know what you're talking about. And so she's, kind of explaining it to me. And she's like, well, I want to do a blood test and I want to check you for it. And here's the interesting thing. I had literally a couple weeks before that just started taking all these supplements, like bovine supplements. Well, I was taking a thyroid medication. I was taking liver. I was taking, I don't even remember what all it was, but it was all from a beef. It was, I was taking the organs. It mashed up in a pill. So it was all this stuff. And I kept feeling worse. And I'm like, I'm doing all these things to like try to make myself feel better. And I'm not making myself feel better. I'm feeling worse. And so she's like, I want to take your blood. And so blood work. And so she starts telling me about this. And she's like, well, you're not going to be able to eat anything that comes from a mammal, things like that. And I'm like, you get behind me, Satan. I have no idea what you're talking about, but you ain't going to take my steak away. And so I actually had a girls' weekend planned, and some of my friends, we were going on this girls trip, and I was telling them about it, and I'm like, she is freaking crazy if she thinks I'm not going to be able to eat all this stuff. And I remember, like, we went to lunch, and I'm like, I want a steak, and I want mashed potatoes, and I had cheesecake for dessert, because I'm like, if this is the end for me, I'm going all out. Now, I didn't say it was a smart idea. I'm just explaining to you where I was emotionally. So did all that. I come back from that girls' trip, and doctor calls and says, sure enough, you have alpha-gal. And it was hard. It took me a minute. I literally was like, my life was over. And I remember her saying something about, she was trying to help me like look at all the positive parts of it. And she's like, we had a woman, who lost 50 pounds, by changing her diet after she learned she was on it. And I'm like, yeah, she freaking lost 50 pounds because she starved to death. And I really didn't have the greatest attitude about it, to be honest with you. So I had to spend some time getting over myself. But I had to learn how to grieve food. Like, you don't realize that you're going to have to grieve something that's been taken away by no fault of your own. And I'm just like, really? Like, I love fried chicken, and I love steak, as I've said, and I love cheesecake, and I love, like, all the things. I love a good hamburger. I love a good cheeseburger. And so I was really bummed. I was feeling really dramatic. Really dramatic. But I also want to say, sometimes we need to do that. We got to take a minute, right? Like, this is a lot to absorb. And so, that's just a brief part of my story. And I think one of the hardest parts, like, wasn't just figuring out what to eat, right? Because it goes deeper than that. It was realizing, like, holy smokes, this is not just about food. This goes like way deeper than I ever even could wrap my head around, right? Because there's hidden ingredients everywhere. That's made from mammals. I had to change my makeup. I had to change my hair products. I had to change my soaps. You have to check random labels that you like never expected you'd have to check. And so it can be very overwhelming. And that's one thing people don't understand. And we're going to get into that, I think, later in more episodes. But people just get this idea, oh, you just got to stay away from red meat and you'll be good. No. It goes way, way deeper than that. So I am just going to say this. If you're listening to this podcast because you're trying to support somebody who's battling alpha-gal, please do not ever say that again. It's just a red meat allergy. Please do not ever say that again. Okay? It goes way beyond that, and you have no idea how that affects us just hearing that. Just an FYI. Okay? So then there's the mental side of it, right? The emotional side of it. Like, you're afraid that you're going to react. I remember the first time I reacted externally, like I was doing good. I had gone a minute without eating everything, so my body was kind of like resetting and cleansing itself. And my grandpa died, and we were like preparing for his funeral, and all the family was together. And I had a square piece of chicken bacon ranch pizza, and a piece of my aunt's chocolate cake, which was of the Lord. And within a couple hours, it was the craziest thing. My face started swelling up. I couldn't see out of my eyes. It just kept getting worse throughout the day. And I was like, I got to go to my grandpa's funeral. I was supposed to sing at my grandpa's funeral. And I mean, I ended up literally having to take my contacts out because my eyes were swelling so much, and put my glasses on. And I thought, well, at least people are going to, just think I've been crying all day. So that was my first like outward experience or reaction. So that was really interesting. But so then that adds that fear of, well, what's going to happen if I eat this? So you've got to overcome that fear of reacting, right? And then there's just like the hypervigilance around all of it. And then like social situations get awkward, right? And then you start to feel high maintenance. And sometimes you start to feel like you're the third wheel, like when you're going out with people and they're like, oh, or you go to dinner with people and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry you can't eat. I'm so sorry. And I get it. I get their hearts are right, but it's like, it just makes you feel, isolated. It makes you feel like you're standing out when you don't want to. It makes you feel sometimes like you're just high maintenance. I don't know if I'm preaching to anyone in that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in that. And then also there's like the emotional side of having to explain yourself constantly. Like, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I'm sorry. Or, and it gets so annoying. And then you've got people, again, we're going to talk about this probably in another episode, but, I've had people say to me, oh, well, it's just a little bit of this. Oh, it's just a little bit of cream in there. Oh, it's just a little bit of milk in there. Oh, it's just a little bit of beef in there. And again, they're not doing it on purpose and their hearts are right. But it doesn't matter the amount, okay? It doesn't matter the amount. So again, if you are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast because you're trying to walk through somebody battling this, please don't say that either, okay? It drives us nuts. But anyway, I digress. There was a lot. It was so much to process and so much to absorb. And in my area, alpha-gal is like such a new thing that people are still trying to figure out how to support one another in it and how to walk through all of it with people. So anyway, there was all that. But also, I want to say this. I also believed, and I still believe, that this is going to be temporary. I'm believing that the Lord is healing me, and He already has done some things, and I'm excited to be able to fully walk that out. And I'm excited and hopeful that one day I'm going to chow down on a big old fat juicy steak and a big old fat slice of strawberry cheesecake. All right? I'm believing for it. Amen? But while I'm waiting, I've also learned something very, very important. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I want to say to you. This is manageable. Okay? I'm going to say it again. This is manageable. And once I realized that, I couldn't keep that to myself. That's why I started this podcast. Because that's why I started alphagaldiet.net. I just started it as a place to share recipes because I thought, well, if I need recipes, I'm sure other people need recipes, so why not share it with people? So I started sharing what I was learning. And then I started a little Facebook community and thought, well, I'm just going to share my recipes in there, and I had no idea what this was going to turn into. I had no idea that this was as big as it really was. And at first, that Facebook group just had a few hundred people in it, and then people started showing up through SEO and subscribing to the recipes, and because I really wasn't doing anything besides just sharing the recipes with some people to I guess, I don't know what the right word is, but to market it. But it's blown up like crazy. In the last several months, that Facebook group grew from about 400 people to over 13,000 people. So it's been a lot to wrap my head around, to be honest with you. But that's when I knew that, this isn't just about my story. Like, there are thousands of people who are quietly navigating through alpha-gal. There's thousands of people who are trying to eat safely, who are trying not to live in fear, who are trying desperately to feel normal again. So that's when I decided, hey, I think maybe I need to take the next step in this. And part of that next step is this podcast, the Alpha-Gal Talk podcast. So here's what you need to know about the podcast. Alpha-Gal Talk is going to be practical. Okay, we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about hidden ingredients. We're going to talk about grocery stores and restaurants and labels and travel and all that stuff. We're going to talk about all the real life stuff. We're also going to talk about the emotional side. We're going to talk about the fear, and we'll talk about the social awkwardness and like I said a while ago, the feeling high maintenance. We're going to talk about all of that. And as you might know me by now, I'm very conversational. I love to just be real and raw and get it all out there. So that's the goal, is for this to just be like we're sitting down, just having some good old coffee and just talking through this stuff, okay? We might even bring in some guests along the way, maybe some doctors, maybe people living with it, others that are figuring out too. I don't know all of that yet, just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but I know there are a lot of people who are willing to have conversations about that, so I'm sure we're going to do that too. But, and it's a big but, here's what we're not going to do, okay? We are not going to live in fear. We're not going to live in fear of this thing, okay? Because fear does not get to run this show, right? We do, okay? You can eat confidently again. And just as I said earlier, this is manageable, okay? And this is the most important part I think I want you to hear. You are not alone in this, okay? You are not alone in this. We're doing this together, okay? And if you feel alone in this, I've actually put together a little free guide for you. It's called the Alpha-Gal Basics Guide. what it is, it was just kind of a, I put it together as a just an overview of kind of what alpha-gal syndrome is, how it develops, what some common symptoms are, even the delayed symptoms that people don't always recognize, and just kind of some practical steps for managing it day to day. So I hope that helps. Also walks through lifestyle factors like beyond food, because again, as we've said, it's not really about just what is on your plate. But anyway, I created that for you. It's free. That's it. No questions asked. It's all yours. You can download it at alphagaldiet.net/guide. Also, I will share the link to it in the show notes for you. So I hope it's helpful. Let me know if it is. Let me know if you've learned something from it, gleaned something from it. If you think there's some things I need to add. Again, I didn't create it just for me. I created it for us. And if this episode helped you, hey, subscribe, share it with somebody who needs it, leave a review so more people can find it. Let's build a community within this podcast, because that's what I want to do, right? I'm not just creating it for me, creating it for you. So let's build a community around this thing. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, just type in Alpha-Gal Diet Recipes and More. That's Alpha-Gal Diet Recipes and More. Type that into your little Facebook and you will find us. Come over and join and say hi. And I will also share the link to that in the show notes for you. So I'm excited to be on this journey with you, my friend. And I remember this again. I'm going to say it again. You are not alone in this, okay? You're not alone in this. So I will see you in the next episode. Here's to overcoming Alpha-Gal in Jesus' name.
Pray anyway, give anyway, and someday everything will be alright.